My people, let's have a conversation. Let's have a dialogue. We need to talk about how y'all need to stop letting these Texas fans rile y'all up. And I'm saying this, all my friends that are Texas fans, people I like that just hit up the channel, close your ears. Actually, you probably should hear this, but close your ears because it's about to get nasty in here. So we got to dive into this Texas fan that felt the need to post a video from a year ago from our guy Colin Cowherd and trying to understand what was the value in it. And I'm going to show you why they're ridiculous. Before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. All right. So June of last year, we actually dropped a video on this already once, but we're going to talk about this a little bit more in detail because a year ago, our guy, Colin Cowherd, which always cracks me up, decided to talk about on his show going into last season that you should keep your eye on Oklahoma. And he's wondering if they're going to be the second program in our adult lives that disappears. The first one is who? Nebraska. And he breaks down all of that, which I thought was very, very fascinating on how he did it. But we dunked on Colin. We talked our noise at that point and, we moved on. But what makes it so bad is a Texas fan decided that they wanted to repost this. Now, this is the funny part about it. This individual, I don't know who it was. People hide behind different pseudonyms or whatnot here on these social media streets. But they posted this and then eventually decided to go private. Now, they're not private at this point, but, they felt the need to go ahead and hide their face because everybody been roasting their tail all day. So you're going to see probably multiple videos around this because this video and this statement by Colin was very much inflammatory. So let's play it so y'all can hear what Colin had to say.
In college football, Texas, Oklahoma join the SEC. SEC's like, we are more powerful than ever. Yeah, and you added revenue, but holy hell, are those schedules going to be tough? Anybody see the schedules yesterday for Florida, Alabama? Yikes. Also, the Big Ten. Joining the Big Ten is USC and UCLA. I got news for you. It's hard enough to beat Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State. Good luck at Camp Randall. Now you got to go out and face Lincoln Riley. The downside to adding these teams is it's going to be tougher schedules. Florida's is insane. Texas, Oklahoma, tough schedules. But I was thinking about this, looking at the schedules. I always laugh when Southern guy tells me USC football's dead. That would be like West Coast guy saying Alabama's dead every time they have a downturn. Schools like Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, USC are never dead. Florida State, they're never dead for very long. Because the minute they get the right coach, they're in states that have so many great high school players that they rebound quickly. USC has put together back-to-back really interesting recruiting classes, and they are rolling. LSU with Brian Kelly, they're going to be great. Second year on the job. LSU, Georgia, Bama's a state that, despite its small size, 3.5 million, 4 million people, produces 20, 25 Division I players. There is only one college football program in the last 25 to 30 years that went from a national power, and I mean vying for titles, big brand, TV, to irrelevant. Nebraska. And there are three reasons why. Number one is they're from a state that doesn't produce high school football players. They have to convince every kid who didn't grow up a Husker to be a Husker. That's harder than convincing a kid in L.A. who grew up a Trojan to be a Trojan, or a kid that grew up near New Orleans to be a Tiger fan. Nebraska had to convince every kid that wasn't a Nebraska fan, because most kids are fans of local teams, come to our state. Secondly, they joined the wrong conference. When Nebraska left the state of Texas in the Big 12, they left a lot of recruits who now couldn't watch their sons play. They couldn't get those home games and watch them play. Now they got to fly up, drive up. They joined the wrong conference. So number one, Nebraska lost a legendary coach and was always from a state that didn't produce a lot of high school talent. Number two, they joined the wrong conference. And number three, They couldn't get the coach right. Keep your eye on Oklahoma. Is Oklahoma going to be the second program in our adult lives that disappears? Number one, the state no longer produces big numbers of players. Of the Sooners' 26 signees in their recruiting class, 3 are from the state of Oklahoma. That's having to convince kids in the South, convince kids in Texas, come to us. Secondly, they joined a tougher conference. Like Nebraska, this is going to be harder. Most of those Southern kids have grown up on the SEC. Those football players want to stay with traditional SEC powers. And number 3, in an offensive era, they hired a defensive coach, and he was completely, utterly over his skis. They didn't get the coach right. I'm just saying, I may be wrong. Oklahoma's a great brand, but Lincoln Riley, remember, you don't necessarily leave a great top 6-7 program historically. But why did Brian Kelly leave Notre Dame? And why did Lincoln Riley leave Oklahoma? Both great coaches. Because Brian Kelly knew when he faced Georgia the previous couple of years and lost both times, Georgia had better players. It's hard to convince kids to go to tiny, private, religious overtone Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. It's way easier to get him to go to LSU. He went because of players. As good as Kelly is, you can only do so much when you have the second best players on a field against Bama and Georgia.
So y'all hear it. Colin believes that because there's not enough athletes in Oklahoma, not turning out 25, 30, or 20 like they are at Alabama and all the SEC states, that Oklahoma is going to eventually become irrelevant. Now, there's a lot of things in here that we can fact check, point out to what's ridiculous and what's not. Y'all know me. I can jump deep into this and argue it. But truth be told, here's the issue that I have with our friend Colin Cowherd here is that last year was obvious he wasn't rooted in, logic, right? But I'll give him this. The minute that we took it to Texas, he stepped back and was like, hey, man, I got to give props where props are due. It looks like they figured it out, even though, it looks like Venables may be something. So we'll give him that. But the fact that he had to make those statements, and then Texas fans felt the need, this individual Texas fan, felt the need to resurface this video and get everybody all worked up, still the funniest thing in the world to me, right? Because looking at this, I'm going to pull this up for you all to hear me as I explain to you how since 2009, somebody else is way closer to Nebraska than us. So Fox posted this in 2022. Now, this doesn't include the last couple years. Well, last season. We'll give it to Texas. They had a really good year last year, made a playoff, which is a great accomplishment, something that they have not ever done before. They had a really good year. So I'm not shading them in that. Props where props are due. Y'all know me. I'm a realist. I'm a purist of the game. And they deserved it because they got there. Now, they did lose to Kalen DeBoer for the second year in a row, because Kalen DeBoer just does his thing. So, but this cracks me up, because since 2009 up until about 22, May of 22 last year, this is the comparison between the two of Texas and Nebraska. Now Texas has not gone completely disappeared like Nebraska has, in which we'll see if Matt Rule changed that around. But look at this. Since 2009 up until about 22, the number of games, the comparisons, everything is dang near the same. You can't say that for Oklahoma. And the funny thing is, Texas had 17 5-stars to 0 in comparison, while Nebraska gets you 72 4s, and blue chip ratio, Texas has got them beat. But it cracks me up how uninformed Texas fans. I get that you're trolling, you're taking shots, it's cute. But you know that people are going to call you out for it. Don't be a punk and run from it. Stand in that moment. Stand in that troll. Don't run from that. That's the thing that bothers me about people that decide to troll like that, is that they decide to run and cower away. It's no different than old girl over at USC. Was it Annie? posted about all the quarterbacks that was on the Lincoln Riley and posted them as if they all went to USC. I mean, we could do the same for Brent Venables in his time at Clemson. All the guys he's brought in, the defensive linemen he's coached up, the All-Americans had on the defensive side of the ball. We can easily do that, but why? Those guys didn't play for Oklahoma, right? We only talk about Jalen Hurts because why? He has a master's degree from Oklahoma. Like, he finished his football career at Oklahoma. So both Oklahoma and Bama they both can claim him, right? You don't hear Texas Tech claiming Baker Mayfield. You don't hear Texas A&M claiming Kyler Murray, right? I get that Lincoln did do good things with those players, but Lincoln Riley was not the only person there. That's the craziness I'm thinking about. It makes me crack up. And just talking through this with the Cowherd stuff is just baffling. But hey, let me know what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let your boy know your thoughts. How y'all feeling about Colin Cowherd with this? Because I think it's funny. In my personal opinion, I think it's quite hysterical. But, not everybody does. If you made it this far, you like the content, go ahead, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We would love for you to join this family of Sooner fans, talking all your football, college football in general, and we're having a blast doing it. All right, we'll get back to the previews. My bad. I just realized I did not post the others. We've got the previews coming the rest of the week, 2 more. We're going to talk secondary, and then we're going to wrap things up with quarterback as we prepare for this coming season. So we'll dive into that. And besides that, we'll talk soon. Peace.